91.7 Wave FM.
Thank you very much for staying with us right here on Rave 91.7 FM, where to find every bit of your moment to bring amazing music and spice it up with quality talk. My name is Femi Olanipekun, welcoming you on board Frank Talk, where we take a look at trending issues and the polity. We bring these issues closer to you, help you have a better understanding and deeper issues of the happenings in the polity. Today, we'll be dedicating Frank Talk to the event, that major one really taking place in Edo State. I'm talking about the Edo State governorship election going on there, and election going on to announce to pick a successor for Governor Adams Oshiomhole. So we have all of our contacts on ground there, on the ground in Edo State. Today, we in the next for the next 45 minutes that you're about to be talking to them one after the other, to look at the state of preparedness of the election management body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, those of the security agencies, and also look at if at all there's going to be any impact or effect of the postponements. Recall that these election was scheduled to have taken place, or scheduled to take place earlier on the 10th of September, but that had to be postponed after a security report was cited by security agencies calling for the postponement of that election. Well, we're back here now. Today, Wednesday, 28th of September, the election is going down. The two main candidates, that of the APC, Godwin Obaseki and Pastor Osageze Yamu of the PDP, are the two leading candidates. They are the major contenders for the battle to succeed Adams Oshiomhole of the APC, who has had 8 years in the Benin, in the Edo State government house as the governor of that state. Let me give you an insight into the composition of Edo State. Edo State has about 18 local government: Akoko, Edo, Ego, Esan Central, Esan Northeast, Esan Southeast, Esan West, Etsako Central, Etsako East, Etsako West, Igweben, Ikpobaoka, Oredo, Orium 1, Ovia Northeast, Ovia Southwest, Owan East, Owan West, and Ewumwade. Edo South, according to statistics, has the highest number of voters, and that's interestingly also where the two major candidates of this election, Obaseki and Izeyamu, are coming from. So we expect a battle royale really for these votes right there. We'll be speaking shortly to the chairman of the Transition Monitoring Group, which is one of the biggest coalition of monitors in the country. Shortly, there'll be Dr. Biola Akiode Afolabi will be joining us shortly, live on the line from Benin City, the Edo State capital, to take a look at what's really going on there. Since 1999, the TMG has worked assiduously to observe and interrogate the extant realities of Nigeria's electoral architecture, and so they are in good stead to do that for us here today. We'll be talking also to Mr. Abiodun Adijala, who's National Coordinator of Election Monitoring, is also right there, and also to our fellow journalist who's also right there in Benin, and to some other people. We'll also open the lines for you at the right time for you to be part of this very interesting conversation that will be taking place here today, focusing on the Edo State governorship election going on right now. We have joining us live on the line from Benin City, the Edo State capital, Dr. Abiola Akiode Afolabi, the chairperson of the Transition Monitoring Group. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Frank Talk and Rave 91.7. Thank you very much, ma. Tell us, how has this process been in Edo State? This election was scheduled to take place on the 10th of September and now postponed to September 28th today. It's taking place. How would you assess everything so far?
Well, Edo is generally peaceful. People are going to their different polling units without any problem. So they're working around with them. But from the observation this morning, we realized that there seems to be some kind of apathy. We see very few in polling stations, and as compared to what you would expect to see, in a state where there are about, it's expected that there are about 10 voters, And from what we can see this morning, INEC officials in most of the polling units came out quite early, after 7:30. Some of them were already there, and we can also see Nigerians queue up peacefully to cast their vote. So accreditation is being done, and as you know, this time around is to people are advised to cast their vote and leave. We can also see a lot of security officials, civil defense, police, and some soldiers, around. But it seems that there are enough security agents around. And unlike what we saw in 2015 in most places, that maybe during a election or if it's an election, the state is not in any way militarized. Yes, there are roadblocks, but the roadblocks are not heavy. And the police and security agents are also behaving in a manner that is expected of security agencies. However, we have also noticed that some polling units were moved and people were not aware. So we saw a lot of voters going to where they had originally collected their permanent voter card and where they had voted in previous years. but only to be told that those places are not. They are polling units to cast their votes.
Well, was any reason given for the movement of some of those units?
I beg your pardon?
Well, I was asking, was any reason given by INEC for the movement of some of those polling units?
In actual fact, INEC didn't give them any information whatsoever. So what we have been doing is to try and see whether we can compare those places, because a particular polling unit on Polo Motor, which is supposed to be polling unit 5, we noticed that INEC had put, we saw INEC presence, but there was actually no INEC official. There was no, there was security agents, hanging around there that have been posted to that polling unit. And they haven't seen INEC officials up till now. So, in another place where we went to, which there were a lot of tension already, people were already getting very impatient. They were supposed to, somewhere around Ogbeso School towards Agbo, a group of, there were about 5 polling units, there. The polling unit from Medical School Road, around that area to primary school. But they didn't inform the residents in that polling who were supposed to vote in the medical school that they have shifted. So I think that all these are also not good, because when we got there, we saw there was a lot of tension. We were almost going to fight themselves. We were going to fight the INEC officials there. So we had to ask what exactly was the problem, and that was the explanation that people gave. And up to now, they're still trying to persuade people to move from the medical school road, to the Ogbeso school ward. And I think for us, we should not expect this kind of thing from INEC, at this not in 2016. We are no longer in a period of tutelage. We believe that INEC by now should be matured enough to conduct election and to address all these small crises. So, but the election is going on well in most places. So these are just some very few places where we notice some of these incidents.
Okay, based on reports you've been receiving, what about the performance of INEC machines, especially the the card reader machines? Have there been complaints about some of them being faulty, or are they working perfectly?
Well, in about places that I have visited this morning, and also from the reports coming from some of the transition monitoring group observers that are on the field, any of such incidents. Most from what we have gotten, there was for now, no incidents. Nobody has reported that the machine is not working well. So maybe they brought all the best machine here to function.
Okay.
Having a challenge of such now.
Well, Edo South is where the two major contenders, Godwin Obaseki and Eze Yamo, come from. And it's also said to have the highest number of voters when you look at its senatorial district. And, there are concerns about some local governments in that particular senatorial district, Oredo, Ego, and Ipoba, Oka. What about the reports you've been hearing from those areas, especially for Oredo? There was a report yesterday that there was no security for some INEC materials yesterday. Has everything been coming out of that place fine this morning?
Well, we also have some of our, because we also have that worry, and we have identified some areas that we categorize as areas which we can call hotspot areas, where we had advised INEC and other security agents to ensure that they concentrate more. And one of those is the place that you have mentioned. There are also places in Oredo, in the central area, outside of the capital. like Urome and what have you, as much of the number of people, who are voters. And just as I said in the press, in that secondary school, in a particular polling unit, we had like about 1,000 plus, So there are areas that are concentrated, but from what I could see a lot of security agents. As well, we just came for, they were almost like 25, manning the case, although there were about 5 polling units. If not, there were even more than that. So, as of now, we have not recorded any crisis, but we just hope that, because one of the things that creates tension in this kind of situation is when INEC refuses what is expected of them by getting the materials, to locations on time. We have reports of that this morning. So we do hope that those who are on the river line, and people believe that those are the places where they use, to rig and to cause violence during the election. So we believe that INEC needs to take more particular notice of those areas.
Well, you talked about voter apathy, the other time. Do you think this has been, maybe partly or largely impacted on by the initial postponement? Do you think that's what's responsible for it? Not losing sight of the fact that those states
it could also be thank you, sir. It could also be because of the whole hype around security issues, which led to the postponement of the last election. People are probably generally afraid, although honestly, people were going about in their different businesses yesterday without any sign of that showing. But I have noticed that in all the over 5 polling units that I have visited this morning, we're seeing more men, which is also quite interesting, because oftentimes in some other places you see more women coming out, and this could also be an indication of the fact that people are afraid, and that because of that there is some kind of apathy to the vote is going before they come out, or some of them are even decided. But I have noticed that there are more men in the different polling stations. Very few women. If I put it in percentage, maybe less than 20% of the people that I've seen today have been women. So there's a need to take a look at that, because what it means is that maybe some of them are afraid because of the security report.
Well, just before I let you go, Dr. Akiyade, I should ask about this issue of inconclusive elections in the past few months now in the Nigerian electoral system. Nigerians are apparently worried. Yeah. Have you noticed anything that could predispose this particular election to inconclusion again?
Well, for me, I think that the build-up to the election, to the suspension of the first election or postponement of the first election to today, it's quite worrisome, because if you look at the past inconclusive elections that we have had, the majority of those elections became inconclusive as a result of security threats and also violence during the election. And if there's a threat of that, which led to the postponement, if it is real, if it is genuine, that calls for more concern. But you see, the issue of inconclusive election also has to do with a whole lot of other things. INEC being efficient in not doing what they are supposed to do. Citizens also conducting themselves in a manner that is peaceful during election day. Political parties in particular, through their political party agents, doing what is right, so that they don't foment trouble during the election. We do hope, because the tension between the two political parties seems to be very high here. And it looks to me like both of them, particularly the two major political parties, are taking it as a do or die affair. So we do hope that we'll be able to manage that, so that and if you also do a general analysis of what we are seeing in terms of what people are saying about who to vote for and all, it looks to me that both of them are saying at a 50-50 level. So meaning that either of them could win the election. So by implication, that kind of situation, you have much more tension than you can imagine. And people just want to win at all costs.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, my Dr. Abiola Akiode Afolabi, the chairperson of Transition Monitoring Group, Nigeria's largest election observation and civic education coalition. We appreciate you joining us on Frank Talk this morning, Ba.
Thank you. Yeah, take care.
And definitely we'd like to get across to you again later in the day to get some other updates from Edo State election going on. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, well, Dr. Abiola Akiode joining us live on the line from Benin City, the state capital, giving us some updates really there about what's going on in that state. So far, everything has been largely peaceful, and we hope it remains so. And, we just hope that it remains that way. Slight itches here and there. We're also monitoring through other means. Some of our people also right there on ground, we're getting across to them one after the other as we continue the show. Thank you very much for staying. We also spoke earlier on to Dr. Abiola Akiode Afolabi. I'm really the chairperson of the Transition Monitoring Group. TMG is Nigeria's largest election observation and civic education coalition. We'll be speaking some of our other partners right there on the ground in Edo State. The election are ongoing in most parts. We understand that the process started at about 8 a.m. this morning, varying really, 8 a.m., some 8:20, depending on how things panned out in those places. But then we keep giving you some of the updates that we have for you right here today. All over those states, the voters are tripping up. But then, like Dr. Akiode said earlier on, it's been one marked, with a voter apathy, not many people coming out. But then that's not to lose sight of the fact that the last general election also, at those states, they recorded the lowest turnout in the south region. And then, it may also have been, it may not be unconnected also with, like Dr. Akiode said, maybe the security and also looking at the postponement initially. Well, we have joining us live on the line now from Edo State, Mr. Abiodun Adejola is the National Coordinator of Election Monitor, one of the observer groups right there in Edo State for this particular election. Thank you for joining us again on Front Talk this morning, sir, Mr. Adejola.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How is Edo State this morning?
Everywhere looks calm and peaceful so far.
Well, are you in Benin City?
No, I left Benin City. I'm no more there. I was in the local government, and I'm still on my way somewhere else now.
Okay, tell us with what you've seen this morning. How has the process been so far?
Yeah, things have looked quite okay. What we've seen so far, we've seen places we've been to, materials have moved on time. Only one place at the Ward 5 and 6 where some of the polling officials were still waiting for their buses. Some had gone from the registration area center. Some were still waiting for buses. So we were there, and we spent about some 30 minutes with them. While they were there, they were expecting more buses. But at that time, there was no more bus. That was at 7:25. But the supervising presiding officer indicated that more vehicles would be coming to pick them. And there's a lot of the heavy security, especially in Benin City, on the highways. Most of the security on the highways is military. In Benin, we have some checkpoints manned purely by military, and some a mixture of civil defense and police. And the soldiers and those at the checkpoints are fully armed. But in the polling units, we have not seen any armed security so far. Then also in the polling units, with most places we've been to since 8 o'clock have started accreditation and voting. And we haven't had any major complaints so far from our own end. But we've only been to 2 LGAs, and when we were in Benin, there was no, they hadn't started because we left Benin around 7, so they hadn't started the process. But from what we've seen so far, things are going okay.
You know, Edo South, much attention is on that particular side, you know, part of the state. That's where the two main candidates come from, and also reports also claim that that's where a sizable number of the voters also come from. There were particular concerns raised by the civil society organizations yesterday, especially about some local governments like Oredo. What report have you been hearing from that side today?
No, not had any big deal like that, but basically what we are hearing is just that, in any election, those local governments that have the highest voter population are always going to be very significant, because if anything goes wrong in those places, it can seriously affect the outcome of the election. And we have seen it happen in the past. In Anambra 2013, Idemili North was the largest local government, and when it had a problem, it caused that election to be inconclusive. And also in Bayelsa, when Southern Ijaw had problems, being that it has the highest number of polling units, 120,000, it affected that election too. The same thing with Tekina, LG, and Kogi, which had problems, and eventually Kogi was having a conclusion. So you see that any state, when they have big local governments like that, it's always important to watch them. Oredo has about 279,000 registered voters, while Ikoba has about 260,000. So the combination of these two is over 30% of the total state voter population. Because the voter population for the state is 1.9 million. And then the combination of Oredo and Ikoba alone is over 500,000 out of 1.9. So that's about over 30% thereabout. So you know that if there is something wrong in those two LGAs, it's going to affect the election. So, but for now, we've not seen anything wrong. Everything is okay. And that is why people are saying that should make a lot of emphasis on those two LGAs, because they have high population, and if anything were to happen, it would have a serious consequence on the whole election. So I think that is why people are saying, look, make sure you watch these two LGAs to make sure that nothing happens there and everything goes smoothly. And from what we saw before we left, security was well, tight. From information reaching us from some of the people we have there, we've not had anything bad for now. But as you know, this is the early hours. This is just after 9. So, I guess as the day goes on, we should be able to hear more. But we don't pray for any bad news anyway. But for now, everything that we are hearing is positive. Although just minor little things, like I told you, the other polling officers, we met about 100 of them. They couldn't get some of their materials, their buses and all that. But as we were there, the SPU has been making calls, and buses were on their way coming to pick them. So that's what we've been hearing so far. No big issues yet.
Okay, and then from what you've seen in all of the places you've been to this morning, what can you say about the voter turnout?
Yeah, from what we've seen, even as early as 7:30, some polling units had voters waiting, So that's good for us. We feel that's always a good sign. But at this stage, we cannot say specifically whether it's a high turnout or not, because, with the simultaneous voting and accreditation, you can just come in at any time and you accredit yourself and you vote. So far, you come before 2 p.m. So right now, we cannot say how high or how low. But the fact is people are coming out. You understand? People are coming out. I cannot tell if it's high or low right now because it's too early in the day. When we've gotten a few hours into the accreditation and voting, we should be able to get a clearer picture. But the fact that there are polling units that people were waiting for the 8 o'clock to start, I think that is an encouraging sign.
And then what about the machines of the election management body, INEC here, especially the card reader? Has there been reports of it malfunctioning?
our own direct observation, we have not had any such report, but a particular place where card reader had an issue, and they are resorting to incident form. But I think that will only deal with fingerprint authentication, not the card reader completely. So, because if you revert to fingerprint, incident form, that means that it's still working, it's authenticating the card, but it's not maybe able to pick the fingerprint effectively. So in that case, you resort to incident form. But I've only heard of that in one place, and it was on the radio. We didn't see that for ourselves. So I cannot verify that, but I heard about that happening. But the only units we have been to, we've not heard of any card reader failure for now, or any problem with card reader.
We're looking at the turnout here. What major demography? Do we have women coming out more, or men, or the youth for this particular election?
Yeah, of course, the youth will be the majority, as they are the majority in the voter population generally, and even the national population. So, of course, we see more youth than any other age group. But in terms of women and men, where we have been to so far, I would say it's a bit balanced. But, it's a bit balanced. I will not say the men are much more, the women. But what we've seen so far, because we've only been to a few places, but what we've seen so far, it's quite balanced. We've seen good number of women, good number of men, you understand, so far. And but let's see how it goes. Because I remember in 2012, it seemed we went to many places where we saw a lot of women, and even some elderly. You could see plenty of them, queuing up. But we've not seen so much of that. But for now, it still looks a bit balanced on the women and men side. But probably as the day goes on and more people come out, we'll have a clearer picture. But it looks relatively balanced. From what we are saying, yeah.
Well, just before I let you go, Mr. Dijola, these voting, accreditation and voting simultaneously, what makes it unique? Why is it better than the old style INEC has been using before?
Yes, the reason why INEC started it is because when there was a crisis in southern Niger in December, and people were killed, and the terrain of southern Niger is having a lot of creeks and water bodies, so it was difficult to deploy there. So what happened was that in that kind of a location, if you stay till late at night, you are likely to have your inability to live there on time. So when accreditation was separated from voting, the reason was because some people will do accreditation and vote, then they'll go to another place and accredit and vote. Do you understand? So INEC under Professor Zari Jaga decided to separate accreditation and voting to ensure that if you are accredited in one place, because voting will not start until a particular time, of which everybody must be on the queue, you cannot vote in two places. You get the point? But with the introduction of the card reader, your card reader has a permanent voter card that works with it. Once you are having a permanent voter card, it is locked to a particular polling unit. And there is no other card reader in Nigeria that will work for you. In 120,000 polling units, your voter card will only work with one card reader in Nigeria, because there's one polling unit where that card reader is reading, where your card is from. So what happens is that once you fix your card inside that card reader, you will get a positive response. But the moment you fix that card in another card reader, it will not work. So there's now no need to separate accreditation and voting. So what has happened is that even if you move to another polling unit and give them your PVC, it's not going to have any impact, because the card reader is, how do I call it, fixed to the PVC. So that is the advantage. So now, because of that, it now becomes that we don't need to have card reader and, separation of accreditation and voting anymore. And then, when we had the problem in Southern Nigeria, because they didn't want it to end in the night so that there would be difficulty leaving the creeks and all of that, we said, okay, you can shorten the process. And now, because the two are running together, it means by 2 p.m., accreditation and voting can end. And one of the fears most Nigerians had was collation. They will during collation, they will do this, they will do this, they will do that. And the stages of collation at the ward level, local government level, and the state level, most times we find that most of these things will take place at night. But with the conclusion of accreditation and voting by 2 p.m., you find out that even 6 p.m., you might even get to local government collation. Because the ward collation could finish even before 4, 5 p.m. And you might be in the LG collation as early as 6, 7 p.m., which is good. so that before we get into the depth of the night, we are talking about state collation. You understand? Provided there are no hiccups or cancellations somewhere or violence or whatever. So all things being equal, you should be able to get election results before midnight if everything goes well and there is no violence because where there are problems or violence or something like that, that will bring natural delay in the collation and other process. So finishing it early by 2 is a wonderful thing. Secondly, it reduces the pressure on the voter. Before, because you must come for accreditation, when maybe someone will go home and they have to come back again by voting. Some they will come back, they will say they have already queued, they cannot join again. But now you just throw in, do your accreditation, do your voting, and then you are free to go home. So there's no stress on you. As long as you come before 2, and you don't have to wake up by 8 o'clock to come and accredit. If it is 1 o'clock, you leave your house, there is no problem. Just make sure that before 2 you arrive at the polling unit and they give you your accredit you, give you your ballot. So it's even easier for the voters now. So I think generally it's a much cleaner process and it's more effective. It helps the process by reducing time of the day of the election. It helps voters to be flexible in when they come to the polling unit. It helps the security agencies to do more of the activities during the day when everybody can see what is going on. And it reduces the tension of overnight collation. So it's a very, 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 very positive development.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Abiodun Jola, the National Coordinator of Election Monitor. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We'll get back to you again later in the day to know.
No problem at all.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right then. Bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Abiodun Jola joining us live on the line from Edo State, where the election is ongoing. It's still early in the day, and we just beginning to receive some of the other reports from that particular end. I'll be joined shortly, also live on the line from Edo State, by our third guest this morning to take a look at what's happening, where he is on his own. About my next guest is a journalist who is also covering this particular election in that particular place. But then, just to give you some of the other updates that we have now, all of the places we are checking, it seems all is peaceful, and we hope that it will just stay like that. The voting, the accreditation and voting going on simultaneously seems to be having lots of some positives, we should say, right there. There is only one female governorship candidate contesting for this election, but there are actually 19 candidates vying for the ticket to the government house. But in the main contest is actually between Governor Obaseki of the APC and Andrew Osage Izeyamu of the PDP. And like I said, only one female candidate, Tracy Agol. She is the aspirant, she is the candidate of the People's Party of Nigeria. We're joined live on the line now from Edo by Mr. Banjia Luko. He's a journalist. Thank you very much for joining us on Frank Talk this morning on Rave 91.7 FM.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, tell us, where are you at the moment?
I'm at Sept Primary School in Ward 4. Already local government.
Okay, already. And how has everything been in that particular place and places you visited this morning earlier?
So everything is calm. Voting commenced at about 9 a.m. And everything has been peaceful. People are doing, and voting is going on at the speed. There is no problem at all.
Well, there are concerns about that already where you are. Already is said to have like 279,000, voters, and it's said to be one of the highest local governments with the highest number of voters, and it is in Edo South Senatorial District where the two candidates come from. There was some fears about situation in that place by civil society organizations yesterday, talking about security. Has there been any worrying report from other parts of that local government?
No, not really. It is true that Oredo is the largest government in Edo. As a matter of fact, Oredo is the seat of government. It's where you have the largest population. So it's very big, about 239,000 voters here. But so far so good. There has not been any report of a major crisis or fight. So everything is calm so far. As a matter of fact, where I am now, the APC governorship candidate, Mr. Governor Obaseki, he just arrived a couple of minutes ago. He's prepared to vote here. as you speak now, he's on the queue, waiting to cast his vote. So, as for security, the security operatives are on ground here. They have been able to handle any situation. And so far, we have not had or seen any report of any security breach.
Well, so,
okay.
Yeah, Obaseki is from Oredo.
Yeah, he's from Oredo.
Okay, where is Ize Yamu from?
Pastor Yamu is from Oredo, a village called Igododo. It's a bit far from here.
Okay.
About 1 hour drive from the city here.
Okay.
So it's expected to cast his vote there. While Godwin Obaseki is within town here, it's within the municipal city here. So it's here at Democrat Primary School, what for? Or the waiting to cast his vote.
Well, there's been allegations and counter-allegations, as it is in the Nigerian political system, by the major contenders here about INEC siding one party against the other. What effect could these have on the eventual outcome of this election?
Well, in the political context, there will always be allegations and counter-allegations. For instance, yesterday, the PDP alleged that some INEC staff, as a matter of fact, they mentioned the name of one person, the director of voter education of INEC. A woman, they accused the woman of colluding with some APC leaders in the state to write the results of 9 local governments. That is not all. APC as well made some very powerful allegations against the PDP. Some days ago, the chairman of the APC, Mr. Anselm Joshua, stated that some PDP members, some high-ranking PDP members, were accredited as INEC ad hoc agents. So you always have allegations and counter-allegations. It's all about allegations here and there. But the police, each time they come up against each other, the police and the INEC will always come to clear the air. For instance, when the APC made the allegation, the INEC in Abuja stated that they thoroughly investigated the matter and that there was nothing to justify the claim that PDP members were registered as INEC agents. And as well, they also made a comment on the allegation made by the PDP as well. So allegations will keep flying. So you can't stop that. Allegations will keep flying.
Okay. Well, looking at the state of security, the main reason why the election was postponed initially from the 10th of September till today was because of security. How has insecurity been today in the deployment of officers in and around the polling booths?
As I said, everywhere is calm. I must tell you, the people have been ugly. You need to be here to see the number of policemen, civil defense, and what have you on ground. I'm sure nobody wants to comment any topic, seeing the security on ground. So I'm telling you, sincerely, the security situation has been good. It has been good. I must say that.
And what about the voter turnout? Has it been impressive so far?
Quite high. Though it's still early in the day to give a total comment on that, because voting just commented about 30 minutes ago or thereabouts. But so far so good, the turnout has been high. High turnout, I must say.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Banji Aluku, joining us live on the line from Oredo in Edo State. There, we appreciate you. We'll get back to you later in the day to get more updates about the governorship election going on in Edo State, sir.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much. We keep on keeping our tabs on what's happening in that southern state of Edo, where the race is on as to who succeeds Governor Adams Oshiomhole. The main battle is between Godwin Obaseki of the APC and Pastor Sage Yamu of the PDP. Well, interestingly, the last call, my last guest, Mr. Banjia Luko, just said that Obaseki just arrived at his own polling unit in Ward 4 of Eredo local government to cast his vote in that particular place, while Osage is also expected to cast his own vote in his own local government shortly. We should open the lines for of the PDP and the spokesperson of the APC in Edo State. Recall that on the 9th of September, when we had another edition, when we had an edition of Frank Talk on Edo, we spoke to both of them alongside some of the other guests on that day. But then, as of this morning, their lines were not just reachable. We're still making efforts, maybe before the end of today. But then we open the lines for you right now to join this interesting conversation. We're focusing on the Edo State governorship election.
You can now join the conversation by calling 0703-175-9177, 0703-175-9177, and 0902-427-3808. You can equally make use of our social media platforms. For WhatsApp, 0703-175-9173, 0703-175-9173. Tweet at us at Rave917FM, and Facebook is Rave917FM. Do remember to turn down the volume on your radio set or move away from it. And please, let's keep our comments civil. Thank you.
All right, hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. This is Sunday Adewale from Military.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday Adewale.
You're welcome. Yes, my comment is that the INEC to work in such a way that this election will be conclusive. If you could remember, since the arrival of President Muhammad Buhari, there is no any election that has been conclusive. So I want them to be to be up and doing to this election. So they will have a
Oh, okay. Well, that dropped. You can call back here. You can also make use of our other line, 0902-427-3808. Another caller here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's the name you're calling from?
This is David. I'm calling from Osogbo.
Thank you, Mr. David.
What I want to say is that I think you should have invited, you should have called a security personnel from Edo State to tell us how they are preparing or the level of their readiness for this election. Because they postponed the other date because they said that there were security alerts. So, but since then, we have not yet that they have discovered any bomb, any security issues. They have not told us that since then. So I think we should have contacted a security personnel so that we know the level of their readiness.
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. Well, the security personnel themselves, the hierarchy of the police, have been addressing the press and talking about their own sort of preparedness for this particular election. And then from the independent findings and the independent assessors on ground, the civil society organizations, we've been hearing them talk also about what is the state of security in Edo State, which they said has been largely peaceful. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us, sir. What's the name you're calling from?
I'm Kamikayode from Osun State.
Where in Osun State? Kamikayode.
Hello?
Where in Osun State are you calling from?
From Uri in Osun State.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Now, I heard something there on the Facebook this morning, telling you that one man has been arrested with a polythene bag of PVC and the cash of 15 million cash. I want to know how true is that.
Well, we don't know. One should be careful of reports on the social media. So many reports, some of them not totally true. But then from the people on ground in Edo State, no one has raised any of such. But then we try to make some checks really right there on the ground in Edo State. But then there have been allegations and counter-allegations flying all over Edo State, especially on the social media, on Twitter and on Facebook this morning. And what just need to be careful as to what to believe. If there is a need to believe anything, you need to have it confirmed properly from the people on the ground there and from the stakeholders. Let's take another call here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Femi.
Thank you for joining us, sir. What's the name where you calling from?
My name is Ayo Dobla. I'm calling from Osogbo.
Okay, Mr. Ayo Dobla.
Yeah, I just want to say this. I want to plead with the political class in Edo State. They should allow this election to be concluded. Because every inconclusive election is as a result of the actions and inactions of the politicians. They should please, for once, let this election be concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayodoblo. Making a passionate appeal to politicians to please allow this election be conclusive. This message is from Adex Comedy from Ijebu-Jesha. I think since the election has been adjourned, that there shouldn't be any means of inconclusiveness, not if the INEC knew what they were doing. It was adjourned last time out in September 10. Today, the election is taking place in Edo State. Another call coming in here. Drop, you can call back 0703-175-9177 and 0902-427-3808. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ola from Bodo.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ewa.
I just want to say that if we are not careful, the Edo election and those that have taken place before it can also be inconclusive. Because if I've been following you, I can hear the people you call from Edo saying that there are some polling units that have been shifted and the allegation that some results have been written before the election. So it is the security outfits there that will be have to work very hard so that it can be conclusive.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ewola. Well, like I said earlier on, allegations and counter allegations, you need to check the social media to see the frequency and the volume of all manner of things, really. But then one needs to be careful about what to believe. But then at the end of the day, we should have a clearer picture of what's happening right there. By 12, when we take our news, we give you more updates really about that, and we'll be popping in and out of the studios here to give you updates about the Edo State election, also Edo decides today. Another call coming through. That dropped. You can call back, please, to join us again. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. What's the name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ariel calling from Agumelu.
Thank you, Mr. Ariel.
Please, I just want INEC to conduct a very fair and fair election. And by this time, I don't want them to be controversial. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Another appeal by another Nigerian. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. You need to turn down the volume of the radio set, Mr. Williams.
Can you hear me?
It's a bit better now.
All right, so I'm calling from Shogoman.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, from what the last speaker just said, it's about the security purpose in that place. Because I have some people there, and they are supposed to be at the polling unit. They are scared of going out because of security threats around them. So I think you should hear from the security agent how the place is like.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Well, we should also remember that security agents won't talk except on authorization from their bosses. Really, there you only get to hear from the spokespersons of these security agencies or maybe the top officers right there. Hello, good morning. That dropped again. Let's see another message on our social media platform talking about Twitter portal right now. Whether we like it or not, the election will be inconclusive because of the corruption that will take place after the election. I pray everything work out for good. That's from Kenny from Okebale. Well, we're praying that the election will be conclusive and there will be nothing like that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name?
Bode from Ife.
Thank you, Mr. Bode.
We've always in the past that security personnel are always taking side in elections in Nigeria. We are hoping that this time around they will not take side. Because if we could remember the election, the real election of some senatorial seats in River State, we heard of Broken Amishi, going around with a lot of military personnel. We hope something of such will not happen today in the Nigeria election. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bode. Let's take the last call possibly on the program today before we go. I'll see another message on our social media. Another call here. Hello, good morning. You need to turn down the volume of the radio set, sir.
All right. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yes, please, I'm calling back from Malaysia.
Thank you, Mr. Adewale.
Hello?
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying earlier about the inconclusive election that the president chairman has been I've been doing since he has arrived here. So I know the election will be inconclusive, but they should try as much as possible. I mean, for the sake of this of the people of Edo State, start at the contribution.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adewale. That will be the last call of the program here today. Just to remind you that we'll be coming in and out, popping in and out of the studios here as we give you updates, continued updates really on the Edo State governorship election going on as we speak. Well, the voting accreditation is going simultaneously, and people have been voting, and everything has been peaceful in all of the places we've checked with our people on ground. They will be speaking to more of our partners right there on the ground in Edo State. Stay with us right here on Rave 91.7 FM on all of our belts. There'll be something for you to check and to monitor on for the Edo State governorship election. Just to remind you that Edo State was created on the 27th of August 1991, and here we are, the state voting to elect another governor. Well, we had Colonel John Ekuremo Yeri, who was the governor initially at the inception of the state. We have John Odigio Yegun, the current national chairman of the APC, as the first civilian governor of that state, and we've had many others really. We have Chief Lucky Benedian as the second civilian governor after the end of military rule in 1999, and we had Professor Saremeo Sumbo, who was removed by court judgment invalidating his election, and then we had Comrade Adams Oshiomole, who is at the moment the governor about running off his own term, and the election going on today is to elect his successor. Thank you very much for being a part of our world right here today on Frank Talk on Rave 91.7 FM. We'll be back here tomorrow for another edition of the program. On behalf of my team and executive producer Femi Adefila, I'd like to say once again that we'll be coming in and out to give you continued updates, to keep giving you updates on the Edo State governorship election. My name is Femi Olanipekun. Thanking you so much for listening, asking you to have a fine day.
With Rave 91.7 FM, I get informed, learn new things, listen to my favorite music. What else can I say? It's just an eye-opener to the world of exciting radio. Oh, yeah.